Today is World Food Safety Day. According to the World Health Organization, foodborne diseases affect 1 in 10 people globally. This year's theme is Food Standards Save Lives, the issue of importance in South Africa. And, of course, it comes as we continue to deal with load shedding, often impacting how we're able to keep our food fresh and store it. Matlou Setati is the Food Safety and Sustainability Executive at the Consumer Goods Council of South Africa. Matlou, I'm going to resist the temptation of immediately going into load shedding and how it affects our ability, of course, to sort of keep the freshness of our food. But let's begin more broadly. What are some of the issues that begin to creep up when we talk about food safety?
Thanks, Kathy, and good evening to the viewers. I think with the learnings from what we had experienced recently, it is very critical that as South Africa we improve on our food safety management and assurance. And earlier on we had an engagement with the sector, and I think we must commend the food industry, the value chain from farmer to the processors in terms of how they have maintained this. And another thing that is coming up, and if you look at the NICD statistics, the issue pertaining to the salmonella impact, which is normally associated with informally slaughtered food animals, and also foods that get affected through fecal or oral ingestion of food, becomes quite critical. And let me bring in the element of the cholera outbreak that's currently happening in the Tshwane area, where issues of hygiene and link it with the water safety become very critical in terms of the provision of safe water, because water is very critical in terms of food preparation in our households. So in as much as the sector can assure and make sure that they clean the water before processing, we need to think of the consumers at large in terms of what could happen if things go wrong in that regard. So that is the balance that we need to do as a country.
I guess it's much easier to hold the sectors that are in the food production sector a lot more accountable for how they're handling their food. Households, however, don't have an ombud that comes in to check, well, how long after this meat has defrosted are you still keeping it in the fridge and hoping to eat it? How do we navigate that?
How we navigate that, I think it's in the messaging that we are sharing, and thanks for providing these platforms. Always, we say that food safety is everyone's business. We should not think it's the upper part of the chain. As we shop, I always make it simple. 2-hour rule. Why do we shop and start with a pack of chicken? Start with your non-perishable and then end with your perishable. It's simple things that we do in terms of assuring food safety. And when you get home, let's make sure that we store the food in the relevant temperatures that are required. Food preparation, we cannot overemphasize that. Let's separate. You cannot cut meat and then later on use the same cutting board to cut your vegetables that you're going to consume without cooking. So it's the small steps that we take, and I cannot overemphasize the health and safety of our fridges. Let's check the refrigerator temperature. Sometimes they can go off, and we need to look at that, because the refrigeration system can be a hub of microorganisms where sometimes people do not consider that. So it's the small steps that we do in our household in terms of practicing the 5 keys of food safety to ensure our safety in our household.
The reality now is that many people, of course, are having to deal with fridges that are on and off throughout the day because of load shedding, and therefore food that sometimes is not stored at the right temperatures. What should people do? How should we be changing our spending patterns? I mean, right down to how we're buying our groceries, perhaps.
Indeed. And let's not forget that we are in this together with the challenges that ESCOM has, and we continue to be in conversation with them, because it doesn't only affect the one part of production, it affects household, as you say. And indeed, we need to change the way we operate in terms of bulk buying. If you know that you're buying bulk products that are supposed to be in a refrigerator, let's limit that. And I think in most cases, people do not like freezing products. And refrigeration, I mean, with the levels of load shedding that we have, they can be quite extensive for other areas than others. But freezing products, I like the element of freezing bread. And most people do not know that you can freeze bread, because when you buy and you cannot consume it, rather freeze for safety's sake and make sure that it is frozen. You can defrost in a safe space in a refrigerator. It's a stepwise approach before you then consume it, so that we maintain the cold chain. I think maintaining the cold chain with all the aspects of our food storage is very critical. And also, let's look at what we are buying. There's a variety of food products that we can buy. And I think going back to when we used to not have electricity, ultra pasteurized milk is there, canned products are there, dried products are there, and also, I mean, our staples in terms of your maize meal and so forth, they keep for longer. So it is in our buying patterns and knowing which food products do we need to store, and they can go safely. And let's not forget, if we are wasting food due to food getting rotten because we have load shedding challenges, that then adds on into our challenges as a country.
All right, let's leave it there for tonight.